afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Costello College of Business Ask the Professional event featuring GDIT. We're delighted to have GDIT with us today. As a valued corporate partner of the Costello College of Business, we're thrilled to welcome Adam Schmitz, Contract Director at GDIT and a proud Mason alum, and Hope Murray, Senior Recruiter at GDIT. We're grateful to them both for sharing their time and expertise with us this afternoon. It's now my pleasure to introduce our moderator, Kaleb Lewis, Director of the Costello Office of Career Services. My name is Kerry Willigan. I'm the Assistant Dean for the Costello College of Business Office of Career Services. And with that, I'll turn things over to Kaleb.
Thank you, Kerry. Adam, Hope, thank you so much for joining us here for our Ask the Professionals GDIT panel. We have a list of questions that we have for you this afternoon, and we are very excited to hear more about you, your company, your career path, and more. So, Adam, we will first start with you. If you could please give us an introduction and let us know a little bit about yourself.
Adam Schmitz, I'm Contracts Director at GDIT. I've been in contracts for over 25 plus years. I actually got into contracts through when I was a grad student at George Mason University at the School of International Commerce and Public Policy. Not sure if they still have it, but I was part of that program out of Ballston in Arlington, Virginia. I've been working at it said 25 plus years, worked multiple different types of contracts and just different programs to help develop my broad knowledge across the spectrum.
Great. Thank you. Hope, if you could please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Hope Murray. I've been with GDIT for 18 years now. I am on the early talent team, and my job is to recruit students into our internship program. We have a summer internship program that is 10 weeks, runs from June to August, and we are happy to say that the largest percent of our internship class has historically been George Mason University students, and we're very happy with students that we get from George Mason.
Awesome. So students, if you are listening to this, this is your opportunity to definitely check out GDIT, as you are likely going to walk away with some really great opportunities. Adam, I want to take it back to, in your introduction, just for our audience. Would you be able to give a brief overview of what a contract is?
So, a contract is usually an agreement between, one entity and another. Us, GDIT, we're primarily a government contractor. So typically our contracts are with obviously mainly with the federal government, and they can be from anywhere from, let's say, the EPA or from the Department of Defense. And then within there can be an agreement that's between, let's say, I'm just going to give an example out there, the Department of Air Force, and it's usually based on a specific project. And within there is that companies, in order to get this contract, will have to submit a proposal for it and work it. And then if your company is selected based on the criteria, you then have the contract in hand to go and execute. My role as the contract administrator, I have the power of the pen to commit the company. But, where the vast that comes into is that where it's called about, there's the part working the proposal in the phase, but then more importantly, the life cycle of it, which is from the award of the contract all the way to the closeout of a contract. But in summary, it's basically that maybe the project or agreement between two entities to execute some type of service or project.
Great, thank you. Would you also be able to tell us what a typical day might look like for someone working in your department at GDIT?
Yeah, a typical day, will be involved is that whether you work in multiple contracts or one major one, could be where you're at in the life cycle of a contract or multiple. So something in a typical day you'll deal with in contracts could be from anywhere from reviewing modifications you might receive on a contract that could be standard, or that could be looking at change. It could be writing letters. It could be performing risk management. It could be performing negotiations, could be negotiating terms and conditions. A lot of this, what I'd say kind of all into that all encompassing is you working directly with your internal and external customer. Because obviously in contracts, kind of our role in contracts and subcontract, I'll throw in there, is that a lot of times what you have to do is you need to work with the various functions that are within your area, whether that's finance, subcontracts, your program manager internally to work and look at risks, and also then working with your external customer to work things that are out there. So a lot of times what I kind of say about contracts, it's kind of like the catcher in baseball or softball. You kind of need it to play to kind of back there to kind of catch the things and to work from there. But a lot of times your typical day could just be, hey, are there certain interactions that need to be completed by a certain timeline? Certain notifications do we need to provide as part of the execution of a contract? And then just, following up, make sure you're bringing closure to things. And probably the biggest thing overall is that making sure we're in compliance with it. So your days are kind of divided up with that. What are the priorities of the day? But they usually fall into one of those categories throughout.
Great, thank you. And I'm sure I'll have some follow-up questions in just a little bit on some of the things that you said. But first, Adam, if you could share, what does a typical career path look like within GDIT? And Hope, please feel free to jump in as well.
So I will say, personally, for my entire time being here at GDIT, and I've seen it at other defense contractors as well, but at GDIT, they have a very clear path here where that I know multiple people have started as interns at GDIT. I've mentored a couple of interns and they later on got hired. Quite frankly, one I know for 5 years doing quite well within the company. But one of the great things about it that especially that GDIT has set up is that we do have those entry-level jobs that are in there that are specifically meant for recent college graduates. And we are looking for that talent to come in to, as I like to say, it's got to build the bench. Blink 25 years ago, I was doing the exact same position, but as you kind of come in where you need people to come in to learn the service, learn the company, learn policies, but also just learn government contracts and subcontracts and to go from there. And how it's set up, throughout there is that as you work and progress, especially gain years of experience and you work out there, there's obviously a lot of times we do actually even develop career paths for you to move ahead within the company. Because as I said, there's certain various levels that you can go up, based on your experience within contracts and subcontracts.
Great. Hope, anything to add?
Just to piggyback on what Adam said, we are really start our bench with our interns, right? Our number one goal with our interns is to convert them into full-time hires. So bring those great George Mason students on as interns with the intention of, granted everything goes well, it's a good path for the intern and they're interested in moving forward with us on a full-time basis, moving them into that full-time role after graduation.
Wonderful. And speaking of interns, when we think about some of our students as they're applying, some may fear that they don't have, exact work experience in the contracting industry. What sorts of skill sets or backgrounds are you specifically looking for?
So I can tell you from a recruiting background, I always tell students, you may not have a lot of the experience, right? And that's what the internship is for. We realize that's why you're looking for an internship opportunity. The things that we're looking for is if you've had any type of related work experience, past internship, and then also your coursework. Any type of projects that you've done, whether it was personal or within your coursework, that shows that you have that initiative and that you can really start something. Those are things that we really look for in our interns. You have that go-getter spirit. You've done some things on your own or through your coursework that would help build the foundation that we can build on through your internship work. Our interns are doing the same type of work that our regular full-time employees do. Of course, they'd have guidance and support as interns, but they're not going to come on and just do a project or busy work, right? They're going to do the actual type of work that our full-time employees do with that guidance and support. So it's really important on your resume that you have that coursework on there, any projects that you've done, you have that so that we can see what that foundation that we can build on is.
And then one thing I like to add on to some of what Hope has said, some of the interns I've worked with is that a lot of times when I bring them in, it's like, hey, just, relax that you're here. It's kind of like, think about you're taking a summer course where you get to learn a lot, but you don't get a final exam and you get paid. But it's really a good benefit where you can ask questions and learn from other folks that are out there. And so a lot of times we'll say, hey, does somebody need help with a certain project here? And to learn to help expand that out.
Great, thank you. So thinking about kind of the company as a whole, what do you find most rewarding about your work, obviously besides the money?
So I would say like with my work and anything with being in, in contracts and also, whether it's, in the industries that you get to impact lives, whether it's, federal, civil, or the defense or the warfighter. I think a simple example is that maybe you could say to all your students is that, do they ever go on their phones and look at a GPS app? That was government contracting. That was, funded by contractors like GDIT or your weather app that are on there. These are things that contractors develop. The internet, you look at that actually comes from government contracting is where it all kind of starts and gets to utilize into the public service. You can think about, there could be very civil engineering things that are out there, whether it's, I worked some stuff that was, let's say, maybe post-Katrina and the Corps of Engineers and the project they took into rebuilding the levees, or it could be the next technology that's out there to help, for Homeland Security. So, that's some of the projects you get in there and making sure that you're doing it, on time, within budget, or working with your customer as changes come about, that you also maintain and protect the taxpayers' dollars.
And I really enjoy helping students, right? From them, the start of their career, their internship, all the way from their resumes to having them interview and hopefully landing that internship role with GDIT and then furthering their career with GDIT into a full-time position. I really thrive on helping students and seeing them through the progression of their career.
And related to that question, especially here in the DMV area, there are so many different government contractors. Could you both share a little bit about why GDIT might stand out kind of in that field of high competition?
Well, one thing I'll say is GDIT, we're a company with a soul. Okay. And that's just not a slogan. We actually care about our employees and the care of our employees. We are, for all intents and purposes, we are a services firm, right? Our product is our people. We really take care of our people. We have different initiatives and opportunities to engage in the care of our employees. One thing that always stands out to me at the beginning of the pandemic, and this is when no one really knew what was going on, right? There was this new virus out there. There was, a lot of confusion, a lot of tension. People were scared. We were working from home. There was no vaccine yet. GDIT took the time to have medical professionals meet with all of the GDIT employees virtually, giving us updates on what's the next and latest thing, what's going on, what are the new guidelines. And this happened over a period of time. And every couple of weeks, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, they had someone come on. I believe it was a doctor from one of the local health systems that came on and talked to us. And it was really comforting to know, yes, we're all in this together and it's a very strange time, but our employer really cares enough about us to have someone come in and talk to us about that. So that's one of the things that really stands out to me. Another initiative is How Are You Really? And that initiative was, we all have been in a situation where we're like, oh, hey, Kerry, hey, Caleb, how are you? And you just move on, right? You walk by, but it was really taking the time to say, how are you really? Kerry, let's set up a coffee chat. Even if it's virtual, let's set up a 30-minute coffee chat just to check in. How are you? What can I do to support? Share resources if needed. We've all used resources through GDIT at one point or another. I know I have, and it's been very helpful for that. And that thread goes out throughout the company, right? It's from our top of the top management all the way down to our line employees. So really knowing that we are a company with a soul, and that's just not lip service. It's actually who and what we are. So that's what sets us apart from other government contractors, in my opinion. And I don't know if Adam has that same experience.
I can tell from my unique experience.
Yes.
Came in on a Friday, get my computer. We're shut down for COVID come Monday. So I literally started the company at the start of the pandemic. So they're going through that entire experience at GDIT. I really felt included, and they cared about us. Our president was working directly with Fairfax County Public Schools about, issues about virtual learning, and just I saw the impact in the community. I've been for 2 weeks. I had kids in Fairfax County Public Schools, and to see that commitment to the community just really touched me. And as I've kind of grown from there, and they continue to, I think, I would even say evolve as we're going through a lot of these things, whether it's with mental health that I mentioned before, but also interactions that are also with the company. I think today we have some bees on campus out here in Falls Church, where you can go out there and actually, with the beekeepers that are out there that were working for the bees, to actually have honey put together that you get to take home. There's just a lot of those little examples that are out there. And we try to work a lot of community groups, because obviously being virtual and now coming back into the office, where, hey, how can we connect outside of work if need be, whether it's about your pets or your sports or whatever it is, just to make sure that people can feel like an inclusion and build that sense of community.
Great. All of those are wonderful, wonderful examples. Thank you so much for sharing. So kind of thinking on some of the aspects of caring for employees, can you talk a little bit about what obligations does your work put outside of kind of the typical work week?
So, one thing that they really stress here, and really have seen it just put out there, is that, work-life balance is really, really expected. And that's obviously, that's something that's out there that they really want for their employees, because they know that if you can't, if you're just working crazy hours all weekends, you're going to get burnt out if you don't take your vacation. We are, encouraging people to take the PTO. And if it's something that there's a reason why you can't take, tell us why. Let's make sure we get you a backup, that you take that time out. That is something that the GDIT really stresses, is the work-life balance. And a lot, with my managers and what I do with my employees is to empower them, is that, your work schedule, we can work around. Everybody has life in between. So things come up, but really it's not something where you're working, 7 days a week, 24/7. That's just not possible, because we all have lives outside of work. But, obviously you work your core hours and you come in and you work your projects because you work with your team, because maybe you have something where you come in later because you're working with a customer on the West Coast. Things can alter that. I think maybe the summary to put is that it'll adjust to your life. That is the work-life balance is very, very key here at GDIT.
Great. Wonderful. Thinking about kind of professional development and graduate school, is that something that GDIT encourages or expects from individuals, that a graduate degree might be needed, or are there even opportunities for furthering education at GDIT, maybe a little down the road in someone's career?
So I'll probably begin that maybe they're more general, but I'll say, like, from a contract subcontract standpoint, wouldn't say necessarily graduate school is required, but there are programs that are out there that are maybe postgraduate, which were certificates that I've received, whether it's through an organization. I got mine through UVA, when I was shortly out of grad school. I went to grad school at George Mason, but that's when I got into contracts. But I think it depends on the field if everything's something encouraged. But I think I'll let Hope kind of delve into is that GDIT does have certain programs where, if someone's interested in grad school or postgraduate work, you can apply for it here within GDIT, and they provide you support. So I'll let Hope delve into that, and hopefully I didn't overstep my grounds.
No, you're fine. Yes, so we do encourage our employees to explore and go for those postgraduate education. Also, if you're looking for a certification, we have a very robust learning and development team. I went back and got a certification. I have 2 HR certifications and used our learning and development tools for that. Actually, one of them, I took a prep course at George Mason, so I am familiar there. We do encourage that, right? If you have goals to further your education, whether that's obtaining your bachelor's degree or going forward and getting your master's degree or certifications, we are all in support of that. Like I said, we have a very robust learning management system where we can help you prepare for those, prep for those. Managers will also help guide you on what is needed or what is suggested for your career path.
Wonderful. And thinking about kind of the evolution of technology, the rise of AI, what sorts of major trends for IT and government contracting, Adam, are you expecting over the next few years, and how should students best prepare?
Well, yeah. So no, it's a really good question. So I'm sure I'm coming from when the internet was new. I was in grad school, and I will admit I kind of push back on some things with that, because it's that there are certain things that are tried and true. I think some of this is that technology will evolve to help enhance what we do, but they don't take over our job. And I think the big thing is, even with AI, is that you utilize it as a tool to maybe help your risk assessment, because maybe it can help you analyze like certain words into a 1,000-page document quicker than other things that are out there. But that is that the human intuition is still going to be needed there. And a big thing, especially even in contracts, and a lot of what it is, it's actually the relationships you build. That I don't care what AI and stuff that can do, that can never really be replaced, because your customer interaction. When I always say customer, I say internal and external. That you work with your program manager to get out there. But with I look at things with AI and the technology that's out there, is that helping enhance us in doing our job to do certain risk analysis. And this is getting more technical, is that maybe checking, is there a conflict with this section of the contract versus that one, because there's 1,000 pages? Is there anything where maybe something isn't matched up? So it can help us out just perform that analysis, maybe sometimes quicker or deeper. A lot of times what I use it for is verification of my work. Is a lot of times where I use the technology, where I put my own intuition into it and my own analysis, and then use sometimes AI to say, is there anything that I missed? Not to be a replacement, because that's the thing, is that it's the human element that puts in is still always going to be needed, but nothing to really kind of change that comes from there. It's a lot of times tools versus replacement.
Great. And so could you talk about the importance of soft skills or professional skills in your role?
A lot of times, what you're getting into with contracts is that a lot of times is that the one thing that always has, the truth can change, is the term I like to use, is that, hey, what you planned for at this time, which maybe your customer told you at this time, has maybe changed because of different events, whether it was, like, let's say COVID, that could be force majeure getting out there, or just that the government's needs have changed and you understand, but you're not on contract for that. So it's that you can say, okay, yeah, we'd like to help you go do that. However, let's follow these steps to go do this. Or do you understand we need to go change it? But also too, you're going to come into situations where there could be a difficult situation you have on your contract, whether you have it internally or with your customer performing something. And that human interaction, building that trust with your customer goes above and beyond. 25 plus years, it's helped me out where I have a customer say to me, I can listen to you. If you're telling me this, I can believe you because you're coming in with trust that's out there. Because you could have something on your side that, you know what, I really need help with this. We're in a pickle. Can you help us? And vice versa when you develop those relationships. Having those soft skills can be very, important, where a lot of times you're dealing with the program manager and say, hey, understand you want to help out your customer with this. That's the right idea. However, if we do it right that way right now, we could be in big trouble and lose money. So let's find a way that we can actually achieve this and make sure we're doing everything that's within the bounds of the contract. And the contract will give you bounds to change it, but just make sure you follow those steps.
How important are soft skills in the recruiting process?
They're really important, right? We know we have those hard skills, we have those skills that we're learning, but you still have to interact, right? You still have to have that initial networking or meeting with a recruiter or whomever's on campus. However you make that initial introduction, as well as your interview, right? I tell candidates all the time that probably 50% of your interview will be behavioral questions, right? So you want to make sure that you have those soft skills where you can really take the time to really let folks know who you are, how you would handle a situation, and a little bit about, maybe how it would be to work with you based on those soft skills.
Great. And we spoke on it a little bit, but you as a recruiter and then Adam as kind of a manager, are you looking at paid experiences over volunteer, or is experience and all's welcome?
In my view, I think all is welcome because it could have relevance and somehow, where I remember just in an interview where someone was talking about, hey, we went through something else, show me how you did, handled a situation or something like that. That's a problem and stuff. And she was kind of stammering, said, well, the only one I have is the one I did to my church and some food group. I'm like, no, that's fine. That's a fine example because it shows you how were you able to work with the situation. Because listen, things come up. Like nothing's, just whether it's something of the day, just something just odd can come up and you just gotta, and work with it. And it's to take the time to go through, but experience is experience. And that's something you get over time.
I agree. Experience is experience.
Hey, stuff that I learned from my high school job, I still learn today, working at Baskin Robbins, I know how to count up change, I still use it in my everyday life.
Wonderful. What would be one or a few pieces of advice for students that you wish you knew when you were in college?
Okay, well, that's a big question, but I think a big one. I thought of to think about that is that that as much time you put in studying and you put in there is that that knowledge comes over time and with experience. So just to have the patience of, hey, coming in and giving yourself the time to learn things and explore. And something I've also learned throughout my career is also willing to rotate sometimes. And what I mean is that within the same company to go, is that maybe it's working a different contract, because maybe it's something where you're going in from services, or you could have gone into something where maybe it's software development. There's different just challenges that are in there, but your role in contracts is kind of the same, but you deal with different kind of challenges on customer interactions. But I think a big thing too is that to understand that, hey, it's going to take time to kind of learn things, and it's not something to get frustrated with. Is that it's time's the only way you're going to get experience. You can't just something rush it. You can't microwave it, or to get experience.
And Hope, what about you?
A lot of what Adam said, and just the flexibility and the ability to pivot. You learn something one way, then you get on the job and it's like, well, wait a minute, that's not how I learned it or how I thought it would go. But having that flexibility and the ability to pivot and knowing that it's not always going to work out the way that you may have planned it in your head, or the way that it was laid out in a textbook or in one of your projects at school, but just knowing that, you need to be able to pivot and have that flexibility, because things sometimes they go right as scheduled, and sometimes things just, change on a dime, and just having that flexibility. That's one of the things that I would say I had to learn, right?
And that's a big thing you get in contracts and subcontracts, is that you got to pivot at something because you plan something a certain way. So it's documenting, it's capturing it, and make sure you work at the right thing to protect both parties, by the way, to go from there. That's a big part of the job.
Great. And so as we wrap up, One, I want to say thank you both, Adam and Hope, for taking the time to tell us a little bit more about GDIT, share your experiences. Where can students find out about jobs and internships within GDIT?
Great. So you can go to our website, which is gdit.com/careers. Navigate to the early career section, and all of our internship opportunities are posted there. One thing that I will say, today is September 16th, and we do have positions posted, and I anticipate that there will be more posted with the next coming weeks as we're talking to managers and collecting that need and posting positions. The other way to view open opportunities is to go to Handshake. All of our internship positions are also posted on Handshake. And then finally, GDIT will be at the career fair scheduled for September the 30th, which I believe is the all majors career fair. We will have folks from Adam's group there as well, so you could talk face to face with folks from our contracts team throughout the day. So come on by the career fair on the 30th to meet with GDIT recruiters and staff from our contracts team.
Great, thank you so much. And my last question is, anything else you would like to share about GDIT?
I think we said it all, but just to sum it up, it's a great company. We'd love to have you. Please make sure that you're staying on top of the website to apply for positions. We'd love to have you join us for our 10-week internship program. You do have to interview. One thing I will say that all of our interviews for internships are virtual, so be prepared for a virtual interview. We do ask that students take it as seriously as an in-person interview, but if you are selected, you will interview virtually with an actual hiring manager.
And then I think one thing I would like to add too is that, GDIT is a very, very large company and, under General Dynamics, and, coming into one career, field or one path or whatever, perhaps maybe you're interested in going into something else, but that's, you could alter that within GDIT. So just saying whether maybe you came in contracts and maybe you want to go into finance because you had a big math background, or that's some of your thing, you could pivot to there, or program management, so that it's not one where you're kind of like stuck in one thing. It's one thing where it's, get yourself into the company, that there's a wide variety of careers throughout GDIT.
Great, thank you so much. Again, Adam, Hope, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. Kerry, back to you.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. This was wonderful information. And I did want to remind everybody that GDIT will also be attending our Costello Professional Quest Government Contracting event on a Thursday, October 16th from 3:30 to 5:30 in the Hub Ballroom. So we look forward to welcome you back to campus on that day as well. So thank you so very much. We appreciate it. And we'll see you again soon.
Thanks, Kerry.
Thank you. Mason Nation.